Do we have to do this? I was less nervous at the start of the 2003 Iraq War. When I walked in, you're like, "You ready to cry?" Oh, is one of those kind of podcasts. Yeah, the answer to that is no.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right.
Hello, Fortitude podcast guests. My name is Heather Kittelson, and I am your host. And I normally would have a co-host sitting next to me today, and instead he is playing a different part. So Amos is here with me, but he is the guest today.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to your kitchen table.
Yeah.
We have switched up the studio, and Amos and I are sitting at our kitchen table with you today. And we're really excited because this episode is going to be intimate, it's going to be real, and it's going to be raw, just the way we like it.
When you say we're really excited, I think you mean you're really excited.
Why? Do tell.
Because when I walked in the house, when I walked in the front door to come do this, you said, "Are you ready to cry?" And I said,
Oh, man.
"No, I don't
Not
like crying."
today.
Daddy don't like crying.
It's a weekly thing for us because we like to have the good, tough conversations that
Yeah.
bring transformation.
But we're vulnerable, and we don't mind being vulnerable, as uncomfortable as it is, because it's for the betterment of others, right? Like we
Right.
want to share. We both love sharing what we've gone through, and if that can help couples stay together and save marriages, then booyah.
Yeah. So, you know what that means? You get to be the one to go really vulnerable today. So, Fortitude audience, I am really, I'm just excited to share Amos with all of you. When we speak on stages and we get to share our story of redemption and the power of the Lord in our life, it really does. It impacts people. It changes lives. It is a lot of our story, not my story. And so I have the privilege just to ask some really tough questions that are, in full transparency, really hard to hear because it involves me and my lack of, or just different things. The shoulda, woulda, couldas come out. And that's really hard to swallow, especially with your best friend.
Yeah.
So we do have a dog here. We have a train that runs in our backyard. We have a lot of wonderful, blessed interruptions. And so you're hanging out
It's
with us
raw.
today.
Pretty raw.
So
Good work. Come here.
yeah, our dog already is wanting attention, just like the children the minute we start talking.
Yeah,
That's a
probably, yeah.
real thing.
So true.
Okay, Amos. This episode, I am not going to do any dialogue back and forth with you. I really want the audience to hear from your heart and hear what you have been able to overcome with just being a man of God, a leader of our family, and a dad to our beautiful kids. I want, more than anything, as I was in prayer, I say I, but I mean the Holy Spirit has said multiple times that there's a lot of hurting people on the other side of addiction and alcoholism, and they don't get a lot of permission to feel the way they feel. You felt a lot.
I felt a few things.
Yeah, you felt a lot of things. So before we dig in and get heavy, I just want you to finish this phrase, okay?
Okay.
Proximity shapes
And sizes.
perspective, shapes decisions. Oh, wait, I just finished the sentence. Never mind. Okay, let me see. What would you say if I said perspective shapes?
Perspective shapes outcomes.
Okay. Decisions shape
Outcomes.
outcomes?
Outcomes.
Okay. I read this and it reminded me of you. It reminded me of things that you have said to me, and it is,
I feel like I got it wrong.
you did. Kind of. I mean, outcomes it's a
It's all
conglomerate.
It's like how you think is how you make decisions instead of how like perspective is like kind of how you think, and how you think is how you perceive the world. It's perspective, right? And how you perceive the world and how you think about those things is how you make decisions, and that's going to affect your life. Those are outcomes.
Okay, so it was proximity shapes perspective.
Okay.
Perspective shapes decisions.
Okay.
And decisions shape your life.
Oh, so I just jumped to the end there.
You nailed it.
Nice.
Just what I have taken notes on things that you have said. You've said all those things to me before.
I have?
And to our children.
Must have been a good day.
Oh no, you say it a lot of days. It is not just a good day. So I feel like I've had the opportunity to learn from someone that is very wise. And so you're in for a real treat today, everyone.
Oh, wow. Thanks. Well, that's humbling.
To jump right in.
I hope I can live up to the bar.
You all let me know, okay? All the listeners.
Or just keep it to yourself.
Shoot me a text. Tell me what you think. When my addiction was at its worst, what was the hardest part for you that you never felt safe enough or strong enough to say out loud to me at the time?
Oh, it's like this could be something new?
Yeah, it's whatever comes to your mind and
Well,
heart.
I mean, thankfully we've been really open and honest with each other, and so there is nothing I haven't said that I have been holding back on. I think that's a key thing to this healing is not just having a safe place, and you've done a very good job of creating that safe place. Like you took some tough feedback, and thankfully through your treatment experience, they told you like you need to take this and you need to shut up and listen and not argue back, and you did a really good job of that. And so that let me vent. Not in as like a shouting at you, but vent as just saying the things that were on my heart. And so there's nothing new. What was the hardest thing?
The hardest part for you when you didn't feel probably at your strongest point.
The thing I think that comes to mind the most is being disappointed when I walk in the door from work and I could hear within a couple syllables of you saying something that you're off, that you weren't yourself. And that was always such a down cresting feeling, right? Like, oh man, I'd really hoped tonight would be good. But I knew within, a couple seconds that the night was going to be a real challenge. And I would sit in the car in the garage sometimes and just take a couple deep breaths and like, all right, good or bad, I don't really have an option here. So let's go see what we're at. And sometimes I walk in the door and it's a pleasant surprise. There's my Heather, and the only times I walk in the door and I could tell right away that it wasn't you, And I say that for the benefit of our listeners who are like, but it's just alcohol. Well, when you're dealing with someone who's an alcoholic and their addiction, the brain chemistry changes, and yours did too, dramatically, in that your entire personality would change. And so if you know someone who has this personality that kind of flip-flops back and forth, it could be, like bipolar. But in your case, it was the alcohol would just flip a switch, and you would argue with me about whether the sky is blue or not, or I could just say something, and your instant reaction was to contradict me, And that makes things really challenging when you're trying to be a dad and you're trying to keep a house and you feel the responsibility of raising your kids and telling them no sugar. So if I say no sugar, you'd say bah,
Yeah, I still kind of do that a little bit. We're working on that too,
right?
Still, folks. Yes.
And so that pressure to be dad and do what you know is good for your kids, and you've got this force, this entity pushing back on that in the opposite direction, that's a really challenging thing. And so between the two of those are the hardest things.
What did loving me cost you personally, emotionally, spiritually, and even professionally during those years?
Well, when you say cost, I think I would change that to gain.
Oh boy.
Like, what did I gain personally and professionally? I gained a wife. I gained for the 12 years we've been married. And there was a short period where it was really hard, but we got through it, and I got you back. And a much better version of Heather than I married. And so also through your vulnerability and your telling your story and being open and honest about it professionally, it's been a huge multiplier, huge gain in both of our lives. And so cost, you could say, like, what did you lose? You could just substitute cost for lose.
Right.
And I look at the other way. What did I gain? And I gained a lot. We gained a lot. Because we persevered, because you persevered, because you made a decision to live and to fight this. And then you're like, your GAC, your give a crap, is very, very high about this, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm super grateful for all that, because if your GAC was low,
we'd be in a different spot.
It'd be a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but both of our GACs are high.
So can you give the audience any advice for someone that is married to someone that doesn't have a high GAC, a give a crap attitude, and from either the Al-Anon side or the alcoholic addiction side? How do you navigate those waters?
Let's start with a scenario where there's not addiction involved, because addiction makes everything messy. Like, you've got to create addiction like its own siloed thing, and it has its own set of rules and limitations and tool sets that you put out your tool bag, air quote tool bag, right, for different scenarios. So let's just keep it simple for now and just focus on. I have a spouse who our GACs are off. Right, our giver craps. I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to do these things, and the other one doesn't. And the first thing you've got to realize is that you can't change someone else. You can't change someone, but you can control yourself, and there's great power in that. There's great power in taking responsibility for one's learning and growth. And I think of growth as if there's two bodies, just like in the skies, like a moon and a moon, two moons, right? As one grows, it becomes bigger, so its gravity becomes bigger. So where that moon goes, the other one will follow. So as you start your growing journey, just know that gravity will take the other person along. It's impossible for them not to, right? And eventually, you're going to have an influence. And so you could have influence through your own personal growing and becoming a bigger body, celestial body, so to speak, and growing your gravity. And the other person will be enriched by that. And I think that's one of the most powerful things you can do. So you got to start there. And then as you grow, like anything I was going to say after that, doesn't matter, because you'll know, because you have grown, you have matured, and you'll know what to do in those moments of frustration. And so that's my biggest piece of advice to anyone who's in that scenario, is you keep growing and learning. And this isn't like for a month. I mean,
Years.
Expect to be growing for the next
Forever.
decades.
Yes.
Yes, and never give up. Just never give up.
There's always something to learn. Always.
Yeah.
Every day there's something to learn.
Yeah.
But where does yours come from? Like, is it just one thing you were born with? Did your parents, military, what kicked your learned spirit into gear to continue to learn? Because it's changed my life just by being in proximity with you and learning, watching you, even kicking and screaming most of the time. I still gravitate towards you and your wisdom every day. So where does yours come from?
I took a aptitude test called the Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni. It qualifies you into six different characteristics, and curiosity was called one of my working geniuses. I'm just naturally curious about things, and also if you go through the what is it, the Strengths finder, right? Learner is in my top 5. So a good chunk of that is genetic, so some of it comes naturally for me. So I guess it's easy for me to say I'm just a natural learner, naturally curious. I had popular science and popular electronics on the toilet tank
Are those magazines?
when I was like 10. Yeah, those are magazines.
Okay, better than a
Popular
Playboy.
Mechanics, popular, no, that's one of the other ones. Popular Science. My good parents, they made sure that was the thing. Popular Mechanics, Popular Science, Popular Electronics, and these were magazines that, before the internet, that I would just browse and look at and spend time reading. And I remember the time I discovered podcasts. I was living in Orlando, going to school, and I had an iPod. And the iPod would hook up to your computer through a cable back in the days.
Yep.
And you would connect to iTunes, and iTunes would download podcasts and then transfer it over to your iPod. And I think I was fixing something on my Ford Ranger in Orlando, and I was listening to the 3-part series, Focus on the Family, How to Learn Your Husband, on my iPod as a podcast.
Yeah.
And because Focus on the Family was an earlier adopter of podcasts. And I realized how little I knew about myself and relationships. And it woke something up in me. This podcast to me wasn't for me to tell a woman how to treat me. It was more how do I interpret what I'm feeling so I can give that feedback, so I can express it in a way that they might understand. And that to me was like just huge, that I was feeling certain things, I didn't know why, and now I knew why, and I need to know more. So I've always been a natural learner. I've always been curious, but that I really look at that as a pivotal time in my life, like a divine moment where God sent me down this path of learning about relationships and learning about interactions and just people, relationship, man and woman interactions. And I haven't stopped since.
So good. As you're talking, I just sit here and I really, really want more than anything for other husbands and wives to sit across the table from each other and be able to have open, honest conversations. Yeah, we're recording ours so that others can learn and grow from it. But I just sit here and just admire you as you're talking, thinking, I'll be dang. Like, I was blessed with that. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that learned spirit that God put in you 10 years before we even met, it was preparing you for everything that was coming.
I think so too. I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. When I talk to the Lord, I thank him every day for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Had it not been for that, I would not have been prepared. No way.
So
It would have been a completely different outcome.
what do you think? There's a lot of younger, great couples who they know that they were raised in a good family. They know that they have this awesome boyfriend or girlfriend. They want to spend the rest of their lives with them. And they are just like, we're good. We're good. We're good. We don't need to go to marriage classes, and we love each other. We don't need to read these books. What would you say to them to know their horizon is not going to be everything they thought it would be? What advice would you give them?
When you and I started dating, we set a pretty hard rule. We didn't kiss for a long time, right? Was it Valentine's Day? A couple months later, before I'm like, it's been long enough.
Yeah, it was a long time we were having. It felt like a long time, especially as adults, because we were adult,
Right. And that was really important. I know that physicality in a relationship can really cloud or muddy the waters, right? It gets complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to have clear feelings and a clear understanding of how you feel for someone when you're being physical with them. Because physicality can create infatuation. Infatuation is a strong, sharp feeling that it goes up and down with storms, right? Like if there's a storm, all of a sudden, your heart's really not in saving this relationship because the infatuation just can't survive that. And so you've got to get that out of your relationship if you're not married, so you can fully understand how you feel about the other person. Mm-hmm. And when you know that even through the hard things that you want to work through them, that I think is a good indicator. Remember when my parents sat us down and said, so what are you guys going to do when things get hard? And I said, we're going to work through them. And I meant that because I remember thinking, when things get hard, not if, but when, I'm motivated to make sure that we get through that.
So do you learn about it as you're going through it, or do you prepare yourself for what is coming?
Well, yeah, hopefully you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've got some sort of strong wisdom or a character that can guide you through those waters, or some lenses that you put on that help you see clearly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As husband and wife, even from the beginning of our marriage, I wish we would have sat down more and done couples devotions. I wish we would have been working, because it was like you get into life, you're both working, you start having kids, you're married, and then you forget about that. Intimacy is important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we weren't sitting down. We weren't like...
We were on the very beginning, leading part of Netflix. Now, I'm not going to point the finger at Netflix.
So,
we didn't know what we were getting into.
That's so great.
Right? So it was so easy for us to just, what a hard day. Let's go see what's on Netflix, and go down to the den downstairs and turn on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
We had cable TV. Didn't use that. And so that was the shiny object, unfortunately, in our lives.
Yeah, we watched a lot.
That was the default. Just go kind of hang out, especially in cold winter months when there's not much to do. All right, just go downstairs and...
Yeah, and now there's
veg.
15 to 100 more platforms people can tap into for more distraction. And so I encourage any young married couples, even those who are not married and are single and still praying for their soulmate, learn, read how to go into a marriage with the knowledge that you need, the knowledge and understanding of how to do it God's way. Like, learn about it, not when you're in it, even before. Parenting, all of it.
That which interests you the most is what will take your time. And if watching that next series that someone's talking about, or that next episode of a series that you haven't finished, that can be a huge distractor. And next thing you know, it's tomorrow. And then tomorrow is the next day. And so if you know you need to grow, the first step you need to take is you need to put blocks or cancel those things.
Yeah.
And men, as leaders of the household, you may have to take some arrows on this. You may have to say, with empathy, honey, I think we need to cancel these. I think we need to shut these off. And if there's pushback, then just with empathy, you've got to navigate those waters. And so that's a good starting point, just to figure out, okay, what do I need to do next? I've just keyed in on something that there may be an unhealthy addiction here, because we can live without Netflix, right? We can live without streaming services. There's plenty of other things to do. But if you get a strong pushback on, the streaming services, then that's probably a signal or a thread that you should pull on, and it's a good sign that there's something to work on there. How do you feel about that?
Well, we did get rid of Netflix, but we did keep a couple of the others, and you built a program so that we have the ability to turn it on and off. And so I think options is great. It doesn't have to be an all or none. It can simply be just purging a little bit at a time and just re-engineering your home a little bit as to what your nights look like. And
it's been a tension in our marriage. There have been times where I want to go downstairs and rip that stupid TV off the wall because I think it's getting overused. And
he's really not that. I gotta walk down and just rip it off.
I'm expressing a feeling that I've had. I'm like, oh, that stupid TV keeps on getting in the way of us growing as a family, and I'm so frustrated with that TV, and I just want to take it off the wall so it's not even an option, so it's not even there, But I also, at the same time, had to have a lot of empathy for your situation and kind of help you navigate waters too, because the kids become very needy and you have things you want to do. And so that was your way that was a tool that you used to get things done, whatever, and so just to rip that out would have had a massive impact on you. And I probably wasn't prepared to step in those times and to be able to shoulder that burden, because it wouldn't have been good just like, okay, there's no TV, now you deal with the kids. I would have had to shoulder a lot of that too, and I don't think I could have done that in those times.
And we do live in a very cold Antarctica weather for 4 months out of the year, and so we're kind of locked in our own homes, and so the excuse to cuddle in and watch movies always is great. But we'll move on. When I think back to 2018, 2019, for those of you who do not know our full story, please go back to episode 1 and listen to that. You can Google, and we've shared our story in multiple ways. But I think about the moments. I'm just going to ask the straight question. Mm-hmm. Were there moments you quietly wondered if staying was the wrong decision? And if so, what ultimately anchored you to covenant instead of convenience?
Was there times where ever wondered if staying was the right decision? No.
Okay. So what ultimately anchored you to the covenant of marriage, you and I, over the convenience of how often we choose divorce?
I never felt like there wasn't something else we could try. I never felt like we're at the end. We have a friend who just recently filed after 10 years of trying with her husband. And in that situation, you could probably call it abandonment. And then the Wesleyan Church, they consider abandonment one of the biblical reasons why there's grounds for divorce. We don't get into that. Just saying, right. Yep. It was a really hard thing, and we know that she felt, and he felt, they felt hopeless. I never felt hopeless. There was times where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know what the next step looks like. I never felt like it wasn't recoverable.
Okay. How did you wrestle with God during that season? Did your faith deepen, fracture, go silent, or all three?
I'm really grateful for my faith foundation in that. It's hard when you're asking for something and you're not getting the answer, or doesn't feel like your request is being answered, And days turn into weeks and weeks turn into months. And for some people, months turn into years. You and I, luckily, the hardest part was like 6, maybe 9 months that we went through?
Well, for me, it was lots and lots of years. But
when it got really bad, the postpartum depression, that was 6 to 9 months.
After Evie, it was actually about 14. It was about 14 to 16 months there.
Oh, okay. You remember it being longer than me.
Well, she's born in April, and I didn't go to treatment until the following December of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. For
Maybe
me,
I blocked off some of those
I felt every
thoughts.
day, and you probably skipped a week or two here and there trying not to remember. But
I remember feeling so frustrated, and I was grateful for the I was in 9 rounds at the time. It was a kickboxing workout, going in a 30-minute workout, high intensity, you're hitting things. And so that was a really good outlet for me. And I remember screaming into our local green, what do you call it? The green, where you take all your lawn clippings and tree branches. Yeah.
It's the local dump.
Okay. The local dump. And there's a big pile of trees there, and it's off to the side of town, and I just screamed into that thing. Why? And I looked up to the heavens. Why? What is going on? And I felt better. I needed that release. I needed that ability to shout into the sticks and at the heavens and just go, come on, man. What the heck? This is not what I signed up for. I'm going to give my goldfish analogy, my fish analogy. Is that okay? All right. We used to have a fish tank. I think this is such a weird...
What families have not had a fish tank?
A weird analogy.
Don't do it.
Used to sit right here, right behind me. And it was like, I don't know what those 20-gallon tanks, square tanks. And I would walk in, I could flip the light on in the morning, and the goldfish would come look at me, right? And he wants something. He's sitting at the edge of the glass, and he wants something, to be fed or something. And I thought of that as, to me, I'm that goldfish's quote-unquote God. I make the lights turn on and off. I walk out of the room, and you can see in the room, all of a sudden, this thing that feeds me and controls the lights is now gone. And the goldfish has no concept of what I'm doing. That I walk out of this house that was built by other beings like me and get into a car that was engineered over dozens of years by other human beings, and that it's fed by this petroleum product that we got out of the ground, right? And put into the car, and then we go to work, and we work on these really hard things. And we eat food, and we spend money, and we're using technology. Like, it just has no concept of that. I walk in, light on, food in the top. Thank you, great being who feeds me. And it just has no idea. It's not even capable of comprehending all the things it takes for the light to turn on and for it to get fed. Now just take that gap. So just put your hands out some distance apart and say that's the gap between the goldfish intelligence and human intelligence, that much. Now take that same gap and shift it from human to God. When you realize you can't comprehend what God's doing. You can't listen to a million prayers all at once. You can't orchestrate hundreds of thousands, not millions of things all at the same time and have it work. Like we can't even comprehend. We can't comprehend eternity. We can't comprehend speaking a universe into existence. Who am I to question a God like that? I'm the goldfish. Who is the goldfish to question me on when I turn the light off, on and off, or get fed, or change his water? I know it's better for the goldfish. And so, I didn't love that goldfish. So it's not a perfect analogy. God loves us. We're special to him. And so when things just doesn't make sense, and I think I know better, and I have opinions about how I'd run this world, who am I question the Creator, because I can't even hold a candle to what He's capable of. So
That's good, hon.
that's how I reconcile with not getting answers, or it's like just like I don't get this, but I know you hear me because you say you do. You say it in your word, and I know you got me, and I know your heart breaks with me. And we live in a fallen world, but it's going to be okay.
You really do have ultimate trust when it's a beautiful thing. I mean, even the times when you lived in Florida in end of 2011, and you heard God say, "Go home." You're sitting on the beach.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
I know it's cold in South Dakota. Then when you realize how small you are, and how limited in our intellectual capacity and our ability to like do magical things, speak
Right.
life into existence, right? It humbles you so much. And it's okay to say, I don't get it. You can shout, I'm angry at this. This is not how I would have done it. Yeah. And I think the Lord's looking back and going, yeah, I know. I know how you would have done it. But there's about a bajillion other things here that you didn't take an account for, including the end times and eternity. So, tough.
From your Creator. Tough.
I love you. But you're being arrogant.
I don't think you've ever shared the fish story analogy with me. Do you know that?
No?
Never.
How do you like it? Does it work?
It's good.
Okay, we'll work on it.
It's good.
We'll see if we can.
It's that whole I'm hanging on, I'm listening, and I know that it's going to be, it's always that it's coming, and when you hit, it's like, so good.
Okay.
Just got to be patient. Activate the fruits of the Spirit every single morning, and you'd be amazed.
Hang with me.
Okay, so good. We were just talking about you never felt like it was ever lost, that there was always something more. And so what do you wish more people understood about the spouse who stays and the quiet strength that it takes to love without enabling?
I had the benefit of knowing that I loved you. Right? We had that foundation. Mm-hmm. And that went a long, long ways. And when we started having kids, that went a long ways too. And my parents are still together. That went a long ways. And my extended family, my parents' parents and their family, all, healthy relationships for the most part, and have a very high emotional IQ and are more responsive than reactive and have lots of empathy and, it's not gossip and things like that. So I'm very fortunate in that I had that as my normal, And so the chaos that was in our house to me was abnormal. And I was always working to get back to normal, like my normal, right? Who knows what it would have been like if I came from chaos, came from reactiveness, and from jealousy and spite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That would have been my normal. And so would we have just fought as hard as we would have, Or would we accepted that as normal? Or would I just said, this isn't fun anymore? I just don't know. So what was your question again?
It was, what do you wish more people understood about the spouse who stays and the quiet strength that it takes to love without enabling?
Well, you used the word enabling, which I think is really critical for both spouses. Like, it's important that you don't enable me, you have great power in our relationship by not enabling me. Like you have the right and sometimes the duty to say no to me. I love you, but this is a no. And that's a healthy thing for relationships. So understanding what enabling is not something that we're born with. And it's not something they teach on the streaming platforms. And we just learned this. We just learned this from your aunt recently.
Kim, yeah.
Yeah. She said, wisdom won't seek you out. You have to go seek wisdom.
Right.
And so it's no different with enabling. So you hear the word enabling. Okay. What does that mean? Well, that wisdom isn't going to seek you out. You need to go find that. There's a great book called Boundaries by Henry Cloud and Townsend.
John Townsend.
John Townsend? Sure. Okay. And that was a huge book for us. A big eye opener on what is it to enable? What does it mean to not enable someone? So I think everyone needs to understand what that means and understand how you may doing it, because you're playing a role in it, aren't you?
Yeah, there's the best thing that you taught me, or that you even navigated more in action and leadership and showing me, versus is like, I'm doing the right thing, which is the hard thing.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like it. I know you're not going to, because it's going to bend the way you've always done things. It's going to challenge you to have a different perspective.
And you're going to have an allergic reaction to it.
Yeah, he always says an
might get
allergic
loud.
reaction. I don't have any allergies. The only allergy I have is when Amos is challenging me to do something different.
It may look like this with your eyebrows down and your voice very loud, and that's all right. Take the arrow.
And it's been the best thing that you have challenged me in a kind way. And again, it hurts, so it doesn't feel kind, but kind is clear as kind. And you've always been clear with me, and you've always said, this is like, I'm drawing a line in the sand. You're a beautiful butterfly. You've spread your wings, and like, I will be here to support you when you fall. But I want to be your number two. So we just got to remember our priorities are right. So you can, and here's the thing, by you doing that, I want to spend time with you. I want to do things with you. I want to hear the hard thing, because I've experienced the outcome of goodness and greatness that comes out of you not enabling me and just telling me what I want to hear. You've never done that. Maybe back in the day.
Never's a shot.
Yeah. Let's say more times than most is you are always challenging me and pushing me to believe in myself and believe in who God created me to be. And it wasn't at the caliber of how I was acting and operating.
Wow, you said it way more eloquently than I did.
I'll have to listen back, because I already don't remember what I
I
said.
wish I'd said it like you just did. That would have been good. No, I definitely had to, having those kind of conversations wasn't something that came naturally to me. And I definitely had to try, fail. There were times where I said something and it had a very negative reaction or a negative impact. It was like a negative result of that, because I said it wrong, or I didn't have empathy, or maybe I was too loud, or it was the wrong timing, just something, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't mean I tried. And we've had a lot of times where we weren't really happy with each other when we went to sleep,
Yeah.
And
I love you, but I don't like you
there
right
are times
now.
I'm like, oh, I wish I'd said that differently, To your credit, though, you'd come back to the table,
Yeah.
right? And we could talk it through the second time around. And could I just kind of be just real about something that we got through?
I can always edit it out if not.
Well, I run the editor, so
That's right.
One
Okay,
of
go
the
ahead.
things that I'm grateful that we got through was you, at one period, and so I'm just saying this for the benefit of our audience, there was a period in time where I'd say something, you would interpret it in a certain way, and then you, as my words, would write it in stone, and then you would tell me back to me what I meant, and then I would have to spend time and energy just trying to counteract that whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that happened a lot. It happens a lot in a lot of relationships.
I think it does.
You say something, I hear it differently, I say it back the way I heard it, and then we're it's already a lose-lose.
And I remember that turned off like a switch. 4 or 5, maybe longer than that, and it hasn't reared up in our it hasn't come up in our marriage since. And that was a really key thing to our communication, that you don't take my poor explanation of something as, in your interpretation of that, as writing in stone.
Yeah.
Written in stone.
Yep.
It can be molded, and you can ask clarifying questions, and you say, okay, what I heard you say was, and oftentimes it's very personal. Like you took it in a way that I didn't mean for you to take it.
Yeah.
That happened an hour ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the point is, it doesn't turn into this drag out conversation now where you're hurt. You're like, you have the most generous interpretation of what I said.
Yeah.
And you're willing to give me the benefit of the doubt. So just giving the other person the benefit of the doubt, trying to work towards a resolution and not working towards prolonging the argument so that you could win the argument. That's been key. Trying to understand the other person, the most generous interpretation.
And
Massive in our relationship.
it has.
Yeah.
That has changed. And also the response of when I hear something that you've said, you're black and white, you're more head thinker than heart thinker, and I'm a heart thinker and more feeling, compassion, and empathy.
Right.
And it's not that you lack empathy or compassion, you're just black and white.
We just speak a different language.
Yeah, it so much a different language. And so I would start to say, okay, what I heard you say was, and I have to pause and make sure that I keep my tone tender. Like one of the sweetest compliments you've ever said is, man, when you talk soft like that, that is hot. Like that to me is like we're in the middle of an argument and you're talking softly, your tone. And I'm like, ooh, I got to work on that more often. So I take note of it.
Yeah.
I deliver my message differently to make sure that it's received versus if I come with a sharp tone, your guard goes up and you go into protection mode because it triggers past ways that I would react. And so we have to be emotionally aware and self-aware of how we're coming across to our spouses, but to our children and to our friends, right? So something early on in our marriage too was it's just the shutdown and the silence it's not good. So for couples who shut down and blame and point fingers or just do those things, I highly encourage just to say, hey, I want to really think this through. I'm going to take a little bit of time. Just know I'm in my head. I'm okay. I just really need to think this through because I want to honor you with my response.
That's really good.
We've done that.
That's clearly a heart thinker. Those are the words of a heart thinker.
Well, because if I go
It's
with
eloquent.
my head, it's coming out and it's going to be sharp and I'm going to have regret.
So for me, who isn't such an eloquent speaker, I would just say, hey, I'm chewing on something. I love you. I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to figure something out.
Yeah. And that to me has changed everything for me.
I didn't do a very good job of that early on in our marriage for the first 7-8
Because
years.
you'd go
just go silent.
silent to process,
Yeah.
and then for me, then I'm like, what did I do? What did I say? What's he? Where, and I would
We'd pass each other in the house, and it was awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we just are so open and forthright with what we're thinking or what we're going through, and it's. Man, you can use that in business partners. You can use that in all the things. Like the elephant in the room is stupid. Just, hey, something you said earlier didn't settle very well. So I'm just working through some things. Can we come back around? Or
It's a very normal thing for guys to need 24 to 48 hours to be able to articulate what they're feeling.
But yet when
Yeah.
it comes to sex, you guys know like within 2 seconds. That's interesting to me.
Super easy.
Yeah. Like you're hungry, easy.
You know, one of the things I learned, one of the things,
Now?
one of the things I learned in that Learning to Love Your Husband podcast from Focus on the Family was how my need for respect, right? And how that can shut me down. And then one of the analogies they used was a man's heart can be like barn doors, where they can open them up, but a woman can accidentally, not intentionally, but through her words, accidentally shoot an arrow into that barn, and those doors will shut right up,
Yeah.
right? Just slam shut. And then the guy locks up because the doors are shut, and he doesn't know why he feels the way he does. He just knows he's angry or frustrated or something, and it could take time. Women, it could take time for guys to parse that through, and so you got to give them that space and just give them that grace that, you know, you may have said something unintentionally, but it still had an impact on your husband, and he's got to process that, you know. And
while you're processing that, while the husband's processing that, it is so important for us as women to not sit and spiral into trying to make excuses or trying to explain. Like, we just need to come to you and say, hey, I am sorry, and mean it, and say, I know what I just said hurt your feelings, and I would really love the opportunity to explain this further, and stay soft in it. Don't try to, like, that's the other piece, is we come back trying to argue that what you're feeling is wrong. I did that to you a lot, where I was like, that doesn't even make sense. And instead I don't understand, but
we don't get to tell each other how the other one feels.
No.
You don't get to tell me that my feelings are wrong.
great.
No, we could talk about a misinterpretation and say, okay, so that's misinterpretation, but that doesn't give the other person free rein to go do it again. Like, there has to be one of the staples that we tell our kids about is when you hurt someone else, whether you meant it or not, you get to own that and apologize for it. That's like, take extreme responsibility for that.
Yes.
Whether it's was it your fault or not, whether you meant it or not, take extreme ownership of that. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That wasn't my intent. That then psychologically will help prevent you from doing it again. But now if you point fingers and say you shouldn't have felt that way, high probability you're going to go through that again. You're going to do that again.
It's very dismissive.
It's dismissive, and now there's the other person is still feeling hurt and aren't feeling heard, and that will easily perpetuate issues in your marriage, in your relationships.
Can we give an example? Because sometimes I feel like we know what we're talking about, but maybe they don't. So if you can think of one off the top of your head, otherwise I have one.
Yeah, after the game the other night.
Okay.
Yeah. So, leaving a basketball game with our kids, and I'm working to get all the kids in, like, they're like herding cats. I'm trying to get us out the door. It's late at night, and it's hard to get them out the door anyways. And I had a strategy that I thought was, if we do this thing now, it will help us for the next 10 games too. Now, I'm not going to sit there and explain it to you, because you've got things going on, you're talking to people, whatnot. And so I was trying to get us one direction, and you thought I was going to leave or walk out and leave Evie. And so you had a reaction to that. To me, that was, and include like an angry look. To me, that was an angry look in front of a large crowd. Now, I don't know that anyone saw that or not, but I had that feeling that I just had my wife snap at me in front of a bunch of our friends. Men, especially, don't like being criticized in front of their friends. That's a huge one. So, like, as when we have people in our circle where the wife criticizes the man, and I just look at it and go, gosh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Or she criticizes her man right in front of other people, and she just has no idea the damage that she's causing.
And if you find yourself listening to this and you have done it, please know we all do. It's a matter of being self-aware, and honoring your husband and lifting him up in front of people is so important. as wives and as husbands, we are the billboard of our marriage, of our spouse. And it's the person that we love and we live with, and they're our best friend and our biggest advocate. So why would we not want to speak highly of them and love them? And so in those heated moments, we've all snapped. So I just want to shed light on that of like, don't feel guilt. Have that be something that ignites you to want to do it differently going forward, because it really does. I have shut Amos down very quickly because I have been around snappy, criticizing, like who you are around and how you were raised and what you've witnessed and how, like we all have our own circumstances on what is programmed or innate in us. Like we have the ability to rewire and to re-engineer the way that we do a lot of this in life. And so when I did that, what Amos didn't know, and he did maybe knew, but since I'm with the kids more often and I take them a lot of places, just me, our two littles are really scared about getting lost or being left. They have like this extra bit of fear that we're working through about being lost or left somewhere. And so as he was walking away, I was like, we can't leave. Like we can't, because Evie's going to turn around and I won't be in her eyesight and she will freak out like she did the last game. And so I was being extra sensitive to the kids and he was leading the house. And we had two different motives for very good reasons from both sides. But my reaction was it could have been done differently. Yep.
So when we got home, I just said, hey, you had a pretty strong reaction to that. You really snapped at me back there. And you kind of looked at me wide-eyed and went, I did? And I was, yeah, you did. And to your credit, you said, I'm sorry, I just that wasn't my intent. I didn't mean to do that. You explained the whole Evie thing. And I explained, yeah, I get that. I was thinking about something else. Yep. And I just wanted to show us moving towards the door because they're looking at us, and then they would just naturally come to us because they see us leaving. I was actually going to walk the door, And that was just a perfect example of just, hey, FYI, if you don't notice this happened, and then you just were like, yeah, I'm sorry, and it was over.
Yeah,
it was
and
done.
That's the other piece is like
we talked about it for 30 seconds. It was done. Moved on.
Yep, and I didn't excuse it. I recognized how it made you feel. I owned it and said, I didn't even realize that I did that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. The best thing we can do is just have those little 30-minute interactions so we can improve for the next time that I don't mean to snap.
And now I'm more empowered to lead those situations because we talked it through. Yeah. Couples, I forget, I don't know who said it, but they said, and every man is a king and a fool. The one you speak to is the one you'll see.
Yep.
I've seen women turn men into boys, and I've seen women turn boys into men. I don't think women understand the power that they have, and most of the time they don't realize the kind of power that they're wielding. And with wisdom won't seek you out, you have to go seek it. You won't know until it's too late the impact you're having on your marriage. And so, the Bible says that the man is the spiritual leader of the house. It doesn't mean that women don't have a metric crap ton of, I'm going to say, control, their power in their marriage. And I think it's one that's highly underestimated and underrated. In the same way, I forget how powerful my voice can be and the impact it has on the kids. Women oftentimes misunderstand how powerful their voice can be on their marriage and on their kids. And so it behooves them, and it's mutually beneficial for them to have a high GAC about that, a high give a crap about that, and start to grow in that and make amends. And, you could always find excuses or reasons for why not to do that. I define excuses as things that would short circuit greater wisdom. So let's just say there's two things. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, you've got things A, like I need to respect my husband. That's a thing. That's a thing that he needs. Like you need to feel loved. So let's put those as a 10, right? On a scale of 1 to 10. Those are a 10 that need to be accomplished. But he does or she does this one thing. Okay, so let's rate that one thing. Rate it less. It's probably less than a 10. It's probably not a 10. Maybe rate it as a 5. An excuse nullifies that 10 with the 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Like,
does.
why would you prioritize
Or no, it doesn't. But yes, it makes sense.
the 5 level thing over the 10 level thing? But we do that as humans. And I call those excuses. So what you might think is a reason is actually an excuse, and you're getting your priorities wrong. You're prioritizing the 5 over the 10. And when you keep the 10 the priority and give that some time, it's amazing how those 5 things, those just start to fall off.
Do you have an example? Is it what we just talked about? Like, can you?
It's, as a head thinker, mostly a head thinker, it's pretty easy for me to prioritize what's a 10 and what's a 5, right?
Yeah.
The heart is much more emotional, and it's not so logical. It's really emotion fed. And so something may feel like a 5, or that thing that's a 5 may feel like a 10 to you.
I think I've had some of those, and I've talked with you about it.
Yeah.
Like, something that we're trying, or that I'm working on, is prioritizing and being very intentional on keeping my priorities right. And it's very hard as someone who loves people and wants to be there for people to prioritize people over what's behind my 4 walls.
Yeah.
We've had this, and it's unfortunate that someone in that mix usually can get dropped, right? So you've helped me in asking you, like, this thing is coming up in April, and then this is coming up. There's a few things that I'm a little nervous about X, Y, Z, and then I give you the opportunity to say, yep, you're taking on too much outside of us. So you really help me kind of navigate those things because we have open dialogue versus me just running.
Passion is going to be a shiny object, and that shiny object can lead you away from what really matters. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big piece of Fortitude Ministries and making sure that we get that.
That's a great example, actually. When you look at Fortitude Ministries and what we're trying to do, it's a noble cause, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to prioritize that over family. So it's easy to make Fortitude Ministries the 10 when our kids maybe need work or help with schoolwork, or they need to do chores, because that's part of their development, and our calling is to be parents and to nurture our kids and raise them up in the way that they should go. And so that to me is like, that's the 10. Parenting and nurturing our kids is 10. Then you look at our ministry and go, well, gosh, we're helping people, and I just need to get this one more email out, And so you could call that a reason, but you can also call an excuse where the 5 becomes a 10. And you get those out of order tomorrow. What's tomorrow look like now?
We're in this right now. Like, we're in it. Like, that is a thing that we're talking about.
I'm not preaching to you right now.
No,
it's just how I think about these things, and I think other families, as heart thinkers, it's so easy to let things that aren't that important, aren't the 10s in life, to become 10s, right? And I kind of think of, like, this might sound harsh. There is a real need for heart and for empathy. Jesus had a huge heart. If you just go off heart, I think the heart's kind of an idiot, right?
Yeah.
The heart really sees one thing right in front of it. It feels very strongly about it. And it's easy for the heart to forget about the other things. Jesus calls it leaving the 99 for the one, right?
Yeah.
I took up about it because it's such a beautiful thing. It is not applicable that in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
And so then just move that thought from the heart up your body into the head. Now the head will say, but that's 99. Forget about the one. We got 99 over here. And so Jesus, so there's some in between, right? And I call that in between the Holy Spirit. Jesus was the perfect example of a head and a heart thinker. He knew exactly what to do in those situations. Now, you're more of a heart thinker, I'm more of a head thinker. And so I have to rely on you I have to get feedback from you on the heart-like things. But also, I have to listen to the Holy Spirit. I have to listen to God's prompting and what to do in every single situation, because He's the ultimate at how to get those two, that balance, correct.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question? Did we get off topic? I forget what the question was.
No. I was just stuck in a moment.
Oh.
I had to finish it there for a second. When, I came in with my agenda, and I really loved where the Lord took the podcast, because I really wanted to focus in and talk about the addiction, because it's so prominent right now. And I wanted the audience to really hear the side of addiction that is often forgot about. And that's the person on the other side of it. I'm working with several families right now where I am speaking specifically to wife, husband, daughter, whoever's on the other side, and they have a lot of hurt and a lot of pain because now, someone's gone through treatment and they're doing better and they're processing and they're going through healing and all this stuff. But then the one who is not, who didn't go to treatment, who could have used a break themselves, and it's not available to them because they just have to move on, and they just, okay, well, that person's getting better or could potentially have a relapse. And now here I am with all of this pain and hurt and trauma and past stories that I can remember that happened directly to me. What is your, because I wanted to hit that question for sure, because I probably get that every other day from someone. What do I do to heal? So we're past a lot. We've done a lot of healing. We've moved through a lot. And I know everything we've talked about today, it's an answer. Because it's about growing together, communication, open dialogue, helping one another, not enabling. I mean, we talked about all of that. And whether you have a marriage without any adversity, that's beautiful. But how are you preparing for when it does come? Because I really believe that we don't get out of this time here on earth without something,
Yeah.
And so, but what would you say to the Al-Anon side, or the one who feels left, who feels like they're just sitting in their own muck, not able to move on from all of their hurt and their pain?
Yeah. There's a God that loves you, and He feels your pain. And He gave you a guide on how to do life. It's called the Bible. That is the creator of the universe, who was involved in your conception and who gave you a spirit. That is His love language to you on how to do life and how to have a relationship with Him. And so just know that that relationship is one of the most important things. It is the most important thing that you can have. And if you find yourself defaulting in your decisions to scrolling, or you're defaulting to streaming videos,
Staying busy,
yeah,
like all of the other things, just to not process the feeling.
yeah,
Yeah.
or just to make a step, to make space. And I was talking earlier about how you have to let God speak to you in these moments, because life is a very complicated equation, and you try to fix one variable and then another variable is adjusted. Just as a math guy, that's how I think about it, right? And we're not very good at that. And so in this day and age where your head can be so noisy because it's so easy, and the devil's after your attention, he's after it, you've got to make space. And so you can just make one small step in your life figure out what your why is. What's the thing that that gives you resolve to fix this thing in life? And write that down. What's my why behind this? And then figure out how to resolve to doing this. Write it on your mirror, tattoo it on your hand, whatever, just so that if it matters so much to you, you can fix it, and God can help you. So you start with there. Lord, this is the thing I want it fixed. Will you help me do this? And you start taking some steps. I look at it as the walk with Christ is, I'm going to put my foot down. So I just think of myself walking on the beach. I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to put that down, and you may not guide that to the left or the right, but it's okay. I'm going to put it down. And I'm going to take another step and another step. And eventually, you're going to move my foot to the left or the right. And now I'll be on a slightly different trajectory, right? Different path, right? There's steps behind me, and now there's more steps in front of me. And I'm no longer walking straight. I'm kind of just on this different path. And I trust that God does that to me. But I start by just starting, by going. Mm-hmm. But resolve to make space in your life. I encourage you to make pausing and listening your default rather than just reacting immediately. This is something I'm learning. This is kind of like my thing right now is to not lean on my own wisdom and think I know the answer to something because life is just too complicated. Otherwise, you'll end up playing whack-a-mole. Mm-hmm. Nail this one, another one just pops up. So pause and reflect and let God speak into you. And just give him that space. How could things not get better if you do those simple things? If you need to cancel Netflix, screw the series. You know what I mean? That series is not going to fix your life. Like, why is that so important?
It's avoidance. We got to call a spade because I'm guilty of it too. Where it's like life is busy and we just want to just shut down because we're on all the time as husband and wife and parents and running. So it's the one thing that puts us into a different state. Yeah. Like where it was drinking for me. Some people turn to living other people's lives by scrolling and admiring other people, which causes comparison and causes you to spiral and causes anxiety. Yeah. It's like, so everything you're saying is the answer. Yeah. And yet we excuse the other.
If you haven't watched the season finale and you intend to finish that, your chances of succeeding in this resolve are low. If you can tell yourself, I'm not going to watch that, or I won't do it until A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's months down the road that you're going to watch that season finale. Mm-hmm. You have a much higher probability of success. Yeah. But if you let that show control you, and it is, that show has control over you, mm-hmm. and you can expect tomorrow to be just like today.
Yes. Well, Fortitude audience, I have more questions, but I think that's a really beautiful place to wrap it up. If you want tomorrow to look different, you have to do something today. Betterment of yourself, because you can only control yourself. And stay focused in on your relationship with Christ and carving out space so that he can give you his wisdom and direct your footsteps to exactly where you're supposed to be.
I just thought of a t-shirt. Screw the series.
Oh, man.
Forget the series.
Oh, choose you. Choose you over that.
Yeah, amen.
We have a lot of wonderful things coming up, and Amos is a really big part of that. We have a wonderful mini-series that is going to be coming out with Paulton Haken. We have a lot more guests that are going to be coming out, so many more stories in 2026 and beyond. So continue to subscribe, continue to just tune in, reach out. We have all of our social media. We're going to have some events coming up. We have our first annual Women's Summit coming up. It's a faith summit downtown Sioux Falls. It's on May 8th. It will be during the day, so take off work, find a sitter. Whoever's kids are in school, then just drop them off, come straight to the ransom, and we'll get you out of there in time to pick up your kids as well. No excuses. Come and learn and grow and build community. That is what Fortitude is all about, is we really just want to be here as an encouragement and a tool for you to learn how to live an abundant life. And that includes your marriage. It includes parenting. It includes being radically obedient and intentional in your everyday life. All right. You have any last words you want to say, Amos?
No. I think I'm done crying.
Told him. I got through it without crying.
We love you all.
Love you.
You got this.
Thank you so much for listening. We want to change lives through this podcast. And if you want to support this podcast or our guests, please see the links below for our Patreon and giving links.
And like and subscribe and also share our podcast as much as possible. Thank you.